Welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. So I'm hoping that everyone had a great Thanksgiving and is now getting ready for the holidays, Christmas and Hanukkah. Anyway, before we get started with this week's interviews, and I have some really great interviews this week, we are going to talk about the holiday known as Boxing Day with a British expat who is an expert on Boxing Day. That is the day after Christmas. And also, we are also interviewing a producer who now does this amazing nature photography. And we'll be doing that next. But I do want to mention that I have been busy looking for some more great gifts for our holiday gift guide for 2025. And I do have a list, and these gifts will also be on the Maria Liberati Show blog soon. So check out more information on the Maria Liberati Show blog. But these are some really great and unique gifts for the holidays. If you're looking for a unique gift, not everyone wants to get a tie or a scarf. These are great unique gifts to give. So here we go with the unique holiday gifts. So for that fitness nut or health nut, or just somebody that really wants to get in shape, now that the new year's here and we're all going to make our resolutions, there are these great shakes called Health Code, but it's spelled HLTH Code. And let's see, we got to try out the vanilla and the chocolate macadamia, and they are nutritionally complete meals in like a shake. And they also come with this great shaker. So if you're, at work, you can bring the shaker to work and the mix, and you can have a complete meal, really easy, complete, and healthy meal. And who doesn't love Tate's Bake Shop? Their craft baked, deeply delicious cookie bar, chocolate chip cookies, ginger snaps, and chocolate toffee cookies. They are so yummy. These are great especially for holiday parties. So if you don't have the time to bake cookies, just get some Tate's, or if you know somebody that's got a sweet tooth, I know who wouldn't love to see a box of Tate's Bake Shop cookies under the tree. Nano Leaf 6-in-1 Light Therapy Wand. This is great for all kinds of things. It's great to take care of your skin, for injuries. It's just great for many things. So check out the Nano Leaf 6-in-1 Light Therapy Wand. Now, if you have little ones that are very artistic, or you want to encourage them to be artistic, there is Tiny Easel mini art kits. These are so adorable. And there are these mini art kits. There's a mini unicorn art kit and a mini dinosaur art kit. And they also have a tiny canvas and easel. Really adorable. Definitely great for your little ones. And again, you can check out more information on the MariaLiberatishow.com. For skincare, Belle Essence, their clarifying vitamin C serum, their anti-aging firmer, skin restoring body butter is so luscious. And they also have this wonderful intensive anti-aging treatment. So who wouldn't love an assortment of these all-natural skincare products from Belle Essence? And then, there's a great site with tons and tons of gifts. You can, for anybody that, especially if you want to give something in the health and beauty aids area, makeup, perfumes, fragrances, there's almost anything there that you can think of as a wonderful gift for somebody. Fragrance.net. So we tried, which I just love, Dr. Hauschka, and I did not know that they have cosmetics, because I know they have wonderful skincare. So I did get to try the Dr. Hauschka Eye and Brow Palette, which is wonderful. Their foundation is great. There's a cover stick and brow and lash gel. So that was on fragrance.net, but they have tons and tons of gifts there, which make it really easy to just, order a gift already prepared for you. Crumps Naturals. So I gave one to my sweetie bear, and she just loves my little fur baby. So Crumps Naturals, if you didn't guess, they're treats for dogs. They're all natural, and they have they have Plaque Busters Advanced. They have 2 flavors of the Plaque Busters Advanced. And then they do have the festive cookies for the holidays, which are lamb and ginger spice and turkey and cranberry. So your fur babies can have their cookies also, because human cookies are not good for them. And then I just love this, the Pitmaster grill gloves. So I use them. I have a wood fireplace, so I use them to stoke my fireplace, but I also use them for grilling things and the barbecue. The thing that I love about them is not only are they fire resistant, but they're also food safe. So, which is really, really hard to find. But Pitmaster, their grill gloves are wonderful gifts for somebody that loves to do barbecuing, or like I said, if somebody has a wood fireplace, and it's perfect. Phone Soap makes a UV toothbrush sanitizer and dryer. And Phone Soap Basic has a UV sanitizer. So they have UV sanitizers for different items. So you can check that out. It's called Phone Soap Basic. Hydranature. Now, this is another all-natural skincare company, which their products are just so luscious, and they're all natural, which I love. Hydranature Honest Beauty. Doodles is another company that is for your fur baby, and they have, let's see, we got to try out on my fur babies the metal grooming combs, the dog detangler, which is an all-natural detangler. It's a spray-on, and it's all natural. It has lavender in it, so it is kind of calming, and you can leave it in, which is great. And also the dog slicker brush and cleaner, so that's really good. And they have a really cute bag that says I love Doodles on it, that you can keep all your items in there. Java Factory, it's a delicious coffee company, and they do make the Keurig cups. They have the decaf sampler, which is 40 single serve cups, which I love because I don't like to drink caffeinated coffee at night. So I love the decaf sampler. I've tried them, but there is the sample pack. Again, it's 40 single serve cups of assorted roasts and flavors. That's Java Factory. And that's great for somebody that loves coffee, because you get 40 single serve cups, and they can pick and choose whichever flavors they want. It's also great for a holiday party. You can just have the 40 cups there, and everybody gets to pick and choose what they want. And then there is Zomi pregnancy pillow and bag, and that is a full body pillow. So they call it a pregnancy pillow, but if you like a full body pillow, if you like to sleep with a full body pillow, this is also great for somebody that might like to sleep with a full body pillow. So, and then lastly, the VARI Butcher Block electric standing desk and a Tempur-Pedic chair to go with it. These are beautiful, and you'll be seeing this because my office is being renovated, so we will be doing some of the podcasts from using the VARI Butcher Block electric standing desk and the Tempur-Pedic chair soon, and so you'll get to see that. But check all these items out. They are great for gifts. There's a variety here of all different things for all different types of gifts. And if you do get to use any of these products, please let us know. Hashtag the Maria Liberati Show, so we know if we chose the correct products for our listening audience, and how you like the products also. How well you felt the product responded. So just let us know. Again, hashtag the Maria Liberati Show, and let us know how you like the products in my holiday gift guides. And by the way, there are a few more holiday gift guides, so check out the marialiberatishow.com. I believe there's 2 or 3 up there already. There may even be 4. So check them all out, and you could see, I mean, there's a wide variety of gifts. So if you're searching for gifts, take a look. You'll find something unique for anybody, really. Stay with me for our interviews. And the holidays are upon us, and I have an expert that's going to tell us about this. Well, I guess it's a UK holiday, but it's almost all over the world now. And I have as a special guest, she's a British expat who's been living in the US for over 40 years, right, Deb?
That's correct.
Deborah Schreider. She's going to share with us she brought her traditions here, so she's going to tell us about Boxing Day. Deborah, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for the invitation. I've
Yes,
introduced a lot of my American friends and family to Boxing Day,
yes.
and they seem to enjoy it. And I will tell you, it does include explosions and setting fire to desserts. So it's a fun holiday to introduce.
Oh my
So
goodness.
most people don't even know what Boxing Day is, and it's been around for a long time. It actually originated, I think, in the 1800s, like in 1833.
Uh-huh.
Charles Dickens mentioned it in the Pickwick Papers, so it's been around
Uh-huh.
for a long time.
Uh-huh.
And the Irish recognize it as St. Stephen's Day, and it's
Ah,
the day after Christmas. It's December 26th. And
ah,
St. Stephen was the first Christian martyr, and he died, and they used to be a very charitable man, and they used to give alms to the poor. So that's kind of how the whole Boxing Day, St. Stephen's Day came up.
I
So
see.
with the English, it's a public
Uh-huh.
holiday. And it's
Mm-hmm.
the British Commonwealth. So that means like Canada and New Zealand and Australia and all the other British Commonwealth countries also celebrate Boxing Day the day after Christmas.
Yes, yes.
So, what I kind of explain to a lot of people is on Christmas Day, you're with your family, right? So you've got your
Yes.
family, but you'd like to prolong this celebration. So the next day is when the British people would have their friends over. So they may spend Christmas Day with the family and have the
Uh-huh.
big Christmas dinner, right? The turkey
Right.
and the Brussels sprouts and all the trimmings.
Right.
And then, the next day they would have Boxing Day and invite people over to come and join them for Boxing Day.
I
Now,
see.
this tradition, started in Victorian England. It was very, very big.
Uh-huh.
And if you've ever watched Downton Abbey or Upstairs, Downstairs, where you saw
Yes.
the upper class, the Lord of the Manor, and the servants, well,
Yes.
how I've always understood Boxing Day originated was that on Christmas Day, the servants had to do the Christmas dinner for the gentry, for the Lord of the
Uh,
Manor and their families. They were busy
uh,
doing their Christmas dinner.
right.
The next day, the uh, the gentry that the people they worked for would allow those below stairs to have
Uh-huh.
their Christmas dinner, and they would give them their Christmas bonuses, their boxes with little money in it, their bonuses. So
I
what would
see.
happen was because the servants were then downstairs, below stairs the day after Christmas having their turkey and all their
Uh-huh.
trimmings, they weren't available to serve the rich people, the lord and lady of the manor. So what they would
Right.
do is they would prepare a collation of cold meats and basically salads and fruit and stuff. And the rich people would stay upstairs and they would lay it out on a buffet and they'd serve themselves, while below stairs the servants were having their Christmas meal. So what that
Ah,
means in terms of the British tradition is that on Boxing Day we tend to use a lot of our leftovers from Christmas Day. So,
yes.
this is very close to my heart because my grandparents grew up, they lived Downton Abbey. They were below stairs. They met below
Oh,
stairs.
oh.
And so I've known about this tradition for a long time.
Uh-huh.
My grandmother was what they called a tweenie maid, which was the lowest of the low.
Uh-huh.
And she used to have to black all the fireplaces and clean the steps. And my grandfather was an underfootman.
Oh,
And
oh.
it was a funny story, but how they met was one day the cook said to my grandmother, Beatrice, she said, Jack missed his supper. Will you boil an egg for him, please, for his supper?
Uh-huh.
And my grandmother said to me, and little did I know I'd be boiling eggs for that man for the rest of my life. And they were married 78 years, I think.
Oh
So,
my
but
goodness.
anyhow, to go back to the actual food that we provide on
Yes.
Brits on Boxing Day.
Yes, I was going to ask you, are there traditional foods for Boxing Day? Traditional
Well,
dishes? Or is it just like
um,
leftovers from Christmas?
no, it's leftovers from Christmas, but one of the dishes that is very common is mainly at Boxing Day for my family, but other people do it during the year, is Brussels sprouts or
Uh-huh.
cabbage.
Uh-huh.
I don't care for Brussels sprouts. I never eat them except on Boxing Day, and the reason being is
Uh-huh.
because what you do is you get your leftover Brussels sprouts or your cabbage, whatever you had, and
Uh-huh.
you mash it up with the potatoes, season it well, put
Uh-huh.
oil in and skin it,
Mm-hmm.
and you brown it so it becomes brown and crispy on the outside and soft and fluffy on the inside. And as it cooks, it bubbles and squeaks.
Uh-huh.
So that's how it gets his name. And I like to tell my guests, and you'll be bubbling, squeaking after you've eaten it because it's got a lot of greens in it.
Yeah.
So in my family, I usually do a ham,
Uh-huh.
and we have bubble and squeak. We
Uh-huh.
have sausage rolls, which is
Uh-huh.
kind of like pigs in the blanket. I think Americans would relate to.
Right.
And in any celebration of England, whether you have a christening or a birthday party or Christmas or Boxing Day, sausage rolls are always there.
Oh.
And I make mine very easily. I use pre-bought puff pastry. I buy
Uh-huh.
pre-cooked sausages, and it's a quick thing. And every time I go to a party, I always get asked, "Can you bring sausage rolls?" So of course,
Oh.
on Boxing Day, there's always ham, bubble and squeak,
Uh-huh.
sausage rolls, mince pies.
Uh-huh.
Now, in England, mince is the common word for ground beef.
Right.
But
Oh.
in mince pies, it's actually called mincemeat. I don't know if this is going to come up on camera here, but this is
It is a little bit. It is, and then it goes off. But yes,
yeah. So
it
what
went
it
up.
is it's a mixture of apples and citrus fruits
Mm-hmm.
and sugar and
Uh-huh.
treacle,
Uh-huh.
and it's very aromatic and it's what with mincemeat, what we put in the pie and then usually individual pies, usually
Uh-huh.
small individual pies,
Oh, okay.
and you put that as a filling and you put a top on it, and it's traditionally, I make a ton of mince pies and sausage rolls. That's my go-to at the holidays. But also on our table is we have Christmas cake. Now,
Uh-huh.
Christmas cake is very, very different um, from what people think of it because it's basically a fruit cake.
Oh,
And I always tell people it's not like the American version of fruitcake, which I think is, quite frankly, is an abomination. It's
right.
nothing like real fruitcake.
Yes.
So I start my Christmas cake at least 2, if not 3 months in advance.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason being is because it has a lot of dried fruit in it. And I make the cake and then it gets stored for a couple of months and I feed it brandy every week. I poke holes in the cake and I feed it brandy every week.
Uh-huh.
And it's also the same recipe they would use for a wedding cake in England. They'd always have a
Nice.
fruit cake for a wedding cake.
Do they
So once
really?
I've mollycoddled it with brandy for a few weeks, I then get marzipan and
Mm-hmm.
I put marzipan all over the cake and I
Uh-huh.
let it dry for a couple of days.
Uh-huh.
And then I get royal icing, and then I decorate it.
Oh.
So I don't know, again, I don't know if my camera's going to pick this up, but oops.
A little bit. It keeps going on and off.
Maybe I can send you a picture.
Yes, yes.
But so the Christmas cake is always the star of the show on the table,
Uh-huh.
and it lasts a long time, which is why it's used for wedding cakes, because the top tier, it's got so much brandy in it or booze in it
Yes.
that it keeps. So a lot of them for wedding cake, they keep the top tier, and they on the first anniversary they have the cake as to
Oh, they
celebrate their
cut that.
first
Uh-huh.
anniversary. So
Yes.
Christmas cake and mince pies and sausage rolls and bubble and squeak are all very much our
Uh-huh.
Boxing Day traditions of
Uh-huh.
food. Now I mentioned about explosions. So one
Yes.
of the other things that we have, and they're now becoming more prevalent here in America. When I first came here, my mum used to have to mail them to me from England because in England, every supermarket, every grocery store at Christmas time sold Christmas crackers. Now,
Oh,
when I
yes.
arrived here 40 some years ago, at
Yes.
Christmas, I went into my local Ralph's and I said, "Hey, do you have any Christmas crackers?"
Uh-huh.
And they're looking at me and they say, oh, well, you've got lots of crackers. And they're showing me
Right.
graham crackers
Right,
and
exactly.
oyster crackers. And I said, no, 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 no. This is it's in a tube and it's rolled in, it's got foil on it and you pull it and it
Right.
explodes and all these presents
Right.
fall out of it. And they're looking at me
Right.
like I'm nuts, you know?
Yes.
So, but over here now you can buy Christmas crackers in quite a few places, and
Uh-huh.
it's basically an icebreaker.
Ah.
So what you would do is you would put them on the table, and when everyone's
Uh,
sitting around the table, you would turn to your next door neighbor and you'd give them the other end of the cracker, and you'd pull the
oh.
cracker,
Uh-huh.
and it would have a snap in it. So it snap and
Snaps.
it fall apart. And usually what you find in a cracker is you find a tissue paper crown, which
Uh-huh.
everyone puts on their heads and everyone
Uh-huh.
looks silly, but everyone wears these paper crowns. And then there's usually a toy, a small toy of some description, and a
Nice.
motto
Uh-huh.
or a very, very corny, silly joke. So what
Right.
everyone does is we all take turns telling them
Uh-huh.
what our joke was that we had in our cracker, sitting around the table with these stupid hats on and these little toys. And so that's very much an icebreaker, you know. And I
Uh-huh.
do that both on Christmas Day and on Boxing
And
Day, you know, with
unboxing
my
day.
friends, and they've all got to
Uh-huh.
know about it. And you can
Uh-huh.
find them in places like Cost Plus World Market and Home
Uh-huh.
Goods. There's a lot of places now that sell them.
That sell them, yes.
So
Yes.
aside from the explosions from the Christmas crackers, remember the song "Give Us Some Figgy Pudding" in that was
Yes,
on?
yes.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Well, figgy pudding, aka Christmas pudding,
Uh-huh.
is another British dessert that we serve only at Christmas time. And we
Uh-huh.
make it several months in advance. And
Right.
the tradition is that you stir it up for good luck. So when my mum used to make her Christmas puddings, we
Mm-hmm.
would always be called into the kitchen. And it's a
Uh-huh.
very dense fruit mixture, not unlike the fruit cake, but it's steamed. So she
Oh.
would make the puddings and we'd all have to stir it for good luck.
Uh-huh.
And a tradition, I don't know if it's tradition all over England, but in our family was that you'd put a silver sixpence in the Christmas pudding, and
Oh.
whoever found the silver sixpence would be guaranteed good luck for the rest of the year.
Oh, wow.
Now,
Uh-huh.
my dad, who was a big joker and who never let a good joke go to waste, would
Uh-huh.
always pretend that he'd found the silver coin in the pudding.
Uh-huh.
And he would, you know, out of his pocket surreptitiously get a
Right.
half a crown, which was a lot bigger than a silver sixpence. And he'd go, oh, 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 I think I've broken my tooth. Look, I must have found the coin. So always did that. But Christmas puddings are steamed and then they're
Uh,
kept for several months to mature. And
mm-hmm.
then on Christmas Day, you warm them up or steam them again, and
Uh-huh.
you pour them upside down in a pudding basin. So they're shaped like an upside down pudding basin.
Oh.
And you warm brandy and you
Uh-huh.
pour it over the Christmas pudding and you set a
Uh-huh.
light to it.
Oh,
And
wow.
the brandy has lots a blue flame and it dances. And you typically you turn all the lights out and everyone
Uh-huh.
oohs and ahs because here comes the Christmas
The
pudding.
Christmas pudding, yes. So
So
that's figgy pudding.
that's figgy pudding.
That's the
Uh,
figgy pudding.
yeah. Now, figgy. So going back to the crackers, I forgot to tell you that when they started. They started in the 1850s,
Oh, wow.
and the tradition of the cracker started because there was a confectioner. His name was Tom Thumb, and he
Uh-huh.
used to sell sugared almonds. And he had a big, like a fair coming up, a food thing, if you would. And he, what can I do to draw attention to my product? And he
Right.
was thinking on this, sitting in front of the coal fire, and
Uh-huh.
it was crackling and popping. And he thought, what if I wrapped it in tissue and it made a pop when people opened it? People would remember that.
Uh-huh.
So Tom Thumb was the one who actually made these Christmas crackers, which are now sold all over the world.
Right.
And to this day, it still has a royal warrant. If you ask the royal family what Christmas crackers they use, it's always Tom Thumb crackers.
Awesome. Oh, wow. That is really, really interesting. Very interesting. And I know I've been in Canada, especially during the holidays, and I know the day after Christmas, Boxing Day, all the stores are open and they all have these sales, Boxing Day sales too now. So I guess, they've started doing that. I think a long time ago, everything was probably still closed, not open, right?
You're 100% right. This is a
Yes.
modern tradition of,
Yes.
the day after Christmas going to the sales.
Yes.
But no boxing gloves are needed, honestly.
No,
You
no.
can box your way into the sales.
I think that was probably what I initially thought of when I was in Canada for the first time, and that was the first time I heard about Boxing Day. So, It was quite some time ago, but yes, really, really very, very interesting. And I know I just wanted to make a mention too. So you said in Ireland it's St. Stephen's the day after,
Yeah.
and in Italy it's called Santo Stefano, which is St.
Oh,
Stephen's,
wow.
and they do open air markets. A lot of open, like flea markets and open air markets on St. Stephen's Day, on Boxing Day. That's their tradition there in a lot of other places. And their tradition is to eat. That's why I asked about the Christmas leftovers. It's leftovers from Christmas on Saint Santo Stefano on St. Stephen's Day too. But I love all those traditions. Really, really full. Lots of really interesting traditions. And it's great to hear you're able to keep that up while you're here in the United States also.
Well, as I
So,
said, it's a lot easier now than it was 42 years ago when no
yeah,
one had even heard of Christmas crackers,
yes,
and
exactly. Well, it's really a lot easier to get a lot of these products now. So that's great. Well, we're almost out of time. Do you have a website or anything that people can find you?
I'm on LinkedIn. You can
Oh,
find me on
there you
LinkedIn.
go.
Yeah,
There
Deborah
you go.
Schreider on
So Deb
LinkedIn.
Schreider, she's on LinkedIn, so you can find her there if you have any more questions about celebrating Boxing Day. And we'll probably, if you do send us the photos, I'll put those on the blog for the Maria
Absolutely.
Liberati show, and people can check out the photos also. Great. Deb, thank you so much, and have a great holiday, Merry Christmas, and happy Boxing Day too.
Thank you, Maria, and thank you for sharing the Italian tradition. I didn't know that we had some compatriots on another part of the
Yes.
world doing a similar thing. So
Yes,
that was
yes.
something.
I always like, you know what? Like to share that because it's just what you said. It's very interesting how a lot of the traditions are related in some way. So, but anyway, yes. Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Maria.
Discover the timeless secrets of Italian cuisine with a Basic Art of Italian Cooking series by Maria Liberati. That's me. From fragrant basil to silky olive oil, each page is a culinary masterpiece. Taste the passion, embrace the tradition, and create your own masterpieces in the kitchen with my Gourmand World award-winning book series, the Basic Art of Italian Cooking. Buon appetito, and you can find the books on Amazon.com, Kindle, on marialiberati.com, and on the publisher's website, artoflivingprimamedia.com. And my special guest today is filmmaker and photographer Penn Densham. And wow, he has such a wonderful career. And he's also going to tell us about his, I guess it's more of a newer venture, right, Penn, the nature photography. And
Well,
thanks
most
for being here.
thank you so much, Maria. Thank you for hosting me. Yeah, I've made films. I've been around the film world my whole life since my mother and father were making short films in England, and I rode
Uh-huh.
an alligator in one, and knew that I wanted to do magic things with cameras.
Uh-huh.
But once I'd completed the journey of mostly being able to support my family and make films in Hollywood, which
Uh-huh.
was a story in itself, then
Right.
I started, what do I really want to do now that I can relax a little bit? And that was explore photography and see if I could break the ties that held me down. Photography was always about reproducing things,
Uh-huh.
and when you see the same thing over and over again, a tree or a stream, they start to become familiar, and we don't see them anymore. And I wanted to make images that revive that sense of novelty and emotional connection.
Uh-huh.
And we live in a world of nature, and yet we take it for granted so easily. And
Yes.
so I photograph trees and waves and koi ponds, and
Uh-huh.
I also I went to India and photographed India,
Wow.
and I'm so intrigued to try and pull the viewer into their own emotional response to material
Uh-huh.
that I will shake the camera, I will shoot out of focus, and then and just allow you to see the colors and the sensory experience. And I am lucky enough to have people that are supporting me, and
Mm-hmm.
that work is going out as fine art photography, and
Uh-huh.
it is so much easier to do than making movies, which requires millions of dollars and a
Exactly.
lot of people on the team.
Exactly. What was your inspiration to get into this nature photography? Is it something you always wanted to do
I
or?
think so. Yeah, as I said, my mom died when I was quite young, and I ended up
Uh-huh.
living in an area of England called the New Forest, which
Uh-huh.
was a large landscape which was preserved with free-running ponies on it. And I lived right near the ocean, and
Uh-huh.
so in my teenage years, I was around nature in a very profound
Uh-huh.
absorbing it. And I get excitement from being able to capture a tree, but in capturing a tree in a way that you suddenly realize the majesty of a
Uh-huh.
tree by changing the way that we perceive through taking images that radiate energy.
Mm-hmm.
You suddenly look at trees again and realize these are the things that breathe for us. This is the entire world is dependent on the oxygen exchange of these creatures that are giving
Right.
them. And we've lost touch with so much of what we should value in nature. And so my
Okay.
photography, without ever lecturing, without ever telling
Uh-huh.
people what they should think, is just to try and incite that joy again of the novelty of maybe even being childlike and looking uh,
Oh.
at the world around us.
So that's what I was going to ask you. What is your goal in doing this photography? So you're wanting to get people to appreciate the beauty and the majesty of nature, I guess, to appreciate it.
Yeah, and to also have an aesthetic experience in their home.
Uh-huh.
I make my pieces 6 foot wide,
Uh-huh.
and they transform a room.
Ah.
And they have emotional stories. If you look at a piece of mine, frequently you'll see that it's an intricate Monet-like, or it's there are colors and shapes and forms in it that because the material is slightly abstracted, or I'm moving the camera and I'm taking the image,
Right.
they they don't get boring. You can look at it
Mm-hmm.
every day and be re-inspired with it and live with it in your home. I say I want to make music with a camera.
Uh-huh. Yes, and so do you use I know you have tons of old cameras behind you. Do you use, because I know photographers that they
Yep.
love cameras and they still like to do like shooting with the old cameras and actually the developing and things like that. Is that something you do also?
I did that with great love, but
Uh-huh.
what changed me, I had gotten to feel that while I was making films and being every once in a while very successful in that process, and every once
Yes.
desperately failing, and I never want to be held out as someone that always succeeds, because I think it demoralizes other young artists. You have
Right.
to know that we're full of, we're sailing ships, and we tack, and our lives will go up and down.
Yeah.
So the photography was to um, really change how I perceived the world.
Mm-hmm.
And my goal was changing that from being bored with my photography. I'd given it up. I
Uh-huh.
felt that I was never going to achieve images that were magical. And then my daughter started using my cameras,
Uh-huh.
and I looked at her work, and
Uh-huh.
it was naive, and it was undisciplined, and it was weirdly focused, and the lighting was strange, and
Uh-huh.
it was poetic. And
Uh-huh.
I realized that by trying to get things right all the time, it's supposed to be
Right.
this sharp, and you're supposed to have the thirds and vanishing
Right.
perfectly. Um, I was actually not feeling anything.
Ah, uh-huh.
And so I started shooting by saying, what if?
Mm-hmm.
What if I shake the camera when I make an image, and
Uh-huh.
suddenly a tree is this giant dancing object? And
Uh-huh.
if you shoot a tree against sunset and it's full of leaves
Mhm.
from the fall, and each leaf has different colors, suddenly
Mhm.
it's a stained glass window of nature.
Right.
And these discoveries were me feeling like an idiot sometimes, because I'm breaking free of the dogmas of a process that I love. And photography is
Right.
frequently held out as being one of the greatest arts. And there's Ansel
Uh-huh.
Adams and all these people.
Right.
I'm doing the complete
The
reverse.
complete opposite.
And slowly sharing my work with people and say, is this stupid or is this cool? Um, and it's been a 17-year journey since I saw
Wow.
my daughter's work
Uh-huh.
and constantly pushing forward and constantly asking,
Uh-huh.
what if I shoot after the sun has gone down on waves?
Uh-huh.
What do they look like if I allow long exposures? And they suddenly become these mysterious forms that flow and are foggy and yet you know they're waves and you know that
Right.
it's nature.
Right.
And yet they speak to your unconscious like a
Mm-hmm.
Rorschach test.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a word I use to describe what I do, and I found this word qualia, which is a
Mm-hmm.
philosophical term for things that don't have verbal descriptions.
Ah. Oh,
And
I've never heard of that word. Uh-huh. That's
and and
interesting.
it and it's like hunting joy for me.
Uh-huh.
And I take dozens and dozens of pictures and experiment, and every once in a while, one of them will just turn out to be exquisite.
Mm-hmm.
And that that process of eliminating the ones that I don't like has been through making myself look at every image I take, thousands, and
Uh-huh.
making sure that I'm not actually ignoring something which is beautiful because I
Right.
haven't seen it before.
Ah, yes.
And I'm sure it's like any creativity, like being a chef or being
Uh-huh.
someone who makes wines.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to break free of that's the way all Chiantis are supposed to taste. What
Uh-huh.
happens if you actually age it longer, or what happens if you pick the grapes later, or what happens if you mix
Right.
a small amount of something else in,
Right,
and
right.
then you discover there's another set of nuances, another set of discoveries that wouldn't have happened for you unless you'd taken that
Oh,
risk.
she did. Exactly, exactly. So, Penn, where can people see these photos? And I know I was asking you, and I do remember what you said, if you're publishing them as a book or doing
Well,
an
we were
exhibit.
when my lady was reaching out, she was sharing a link so that
Okay.
people could actually go and get a free look at the book that I
Okay.
put together. And maybe we can provide that link back to you at some point.
Yes.
You
Yes,
can also
yes.
look at, I have a photographer, well, you can look at me on Instagram.
Okay.
I have 400 pieces under Pendentium Instagram,
Oh,
uh,
wow.
which give you a great sense of the range of the things I've been exploring.
Uh-huh.
And but you can look at some of my work at
Uh-huh.
pendentiumphotography.com.
Okay,
And
pendentiumphotography.com. And are you doing these photos? I know you mentioned you went to India, right? Was
yep,
that right? India. And are you doing these photos mainly in the United States, or
I'm
are you
I'm
traveling to other
I will
places in the
I,
world?
I think that's a great question, Maria. I'm lucky enough to have made images in New Zealand and
Hmm.
England, obviously Canada because I came
Right.
from there.
Exactly.
I have yet to do a tour of Italy, which I would love
Ah,
to do.
oh my
I'd
goodness.
like to go back to Tuscany,
Yeah.
uh, and I really and I did shoot in Venice a
Hmm.
little bit because the reflections are so beautiful.
Oh,
I
yes.
love reflections off water. That it,
Ah,
it it excites me. And when I was
uh-huh.
15, I actually took photos of myself reflected in all kinds of weird objects and
Uh-huh.
sold an article to a national camera magazine called
Uh-huh.
"Go Shoot Yourself." And, I the way that light dances and buildings reflect, um,
Hmm.
it just inspires me. So Venice, I want to go back to. I
Exactly.
don't feel
But
I've really spent my
I was
time.
going to say, if you go to Italy, if you can get to the unkind of the sort of hidden spots, I know, everybody wants to go to Venice and Florence and Rome, but there's some beautiful, really beautiful spots that are kind of off the beaten path that are
Yeah.
even much more beautiful than,
Oh, yeah.
what people always think of. And as a photographer, I know I think almost anybody can be a great photographer in Italy. The scenery is just so remarkable. But, Yeah, there's a lot of off the beaten path spots that you just stand there and you're like, oh my gosh, you just can't believe the beauty. So, and so I'm sure, somebody like you would really
I would
be
love to
able
go
to
back,
capture.
especially in the fall or
Yes.
when there's atmosphere
Uh-huh.
and around water or
Uh-huh.
around uh, there's a joy in. I also love photographing koi and fish,
Oh, wow.
and taking time exposures because they become colored lights and streaks
Mm-hmm.
when you so that you put me in a place where there's an opportunity to relate to the landscape, and what I always get from Italy is a sense of time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm raised in England. I also have that sense of time, and we
Yes.
don't have it here. The
Uh-huh.
Native Americans have it because they have 14, 15,000 years of history here. But we
Right.
live in this tiny crust of life. And when you go
Mm-hmm.
back to Italy and you see the hilltop cities, and you sense that people have been there for thousands of years
Thousands
living
of
their
years.
lives, and
Yes.
going to the privilege of Herculaneum or somewhere, and
Uh-huh.
realizing human beings all connected through this long, long thread of mostly moral and mostly decent people just trying to live their lives and
Right.
the best they can for their kids. This
Exactly.
excites me.
Yes, yes, I can just imagine. So sounds like you have a lot of more photographs, lots more places to go
Yeah,
to
I'm on an adventure. I don't want to
yes,
stop, and I don't
yes,
want to have to do it to please other buyers of, like in the film world, it's like working for the Pentagon. You're always having to please the studio, and they'll always
yes,
ask you to do what
yes,
the last success, make your movie like that last success, as opposed to
yes.
what can we do that's original and new and pleases an
E-
audience. And yet,
exactly.
the movies that I sold and got made, like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, with
Right.
Kevin Costner and Morgan Freeman. That
Uh-huh.
movie got made after three studios told me when I tried to pitch them the idea, it was the stupidest idea they ever heard because no one wants to see guys with swords. They want to see people with guns. And
Ah,
I sat down to write it only because our assistant said, I think it's a really cool idea. I'll do my best to support you if you
uh-huh.
think you could write it. So I
Uh-huh.
started writing it, even though I thought, because it was in my soul to write it.
Right.
And I'd had the privilege of having a son with my wife, and
Uh-huh.
the experience of raising a child in a world where people were celebrating killing.
Uh,
Schwarzenegger and Stallone were making movies where killing humans was considered success. And
uh-huh.
I called them the takers of life. And I
Uh-huh.
wanted to write a movie where people being heroic and helping others, which I
Right.
called the makers of life, uh,
Uh-huh.
was celebrated. So Robin Hood was a great story for that, about
Mm-hmm.
people that learn to fight for the future of other people's children. And
Oh,
that again was this freeing up of not being locked into the rules, but discovering
right.
what impassioned you, gave you a sense of purpose. And those
Right.
those scripts that came out of me um, poured out of me. You talk about people discovering the muse, and
Uh-huh.
those came out of me out of places in my psyche. And strangely, almost all of them ended up with characters who didn't have mothers. And I think that there was always reconciliations and people coming together in joy that made you
Uh-huh.
tear at the end of my scripts. And I
Uh-huh.
think that when you surrender to your inner unconscious instincts, you're
Right.
bringing out of you the things that you can share with your tribe that they can
Uh-huh.
learn from to avoid the pain or to change their own life strategies by
Right.
telling these stories. And I think those stories are healing.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Definitely. Wow. Really, really interesting. So we're almost out of time, but what's next for you? Do you have a special place in mind for your next
I'm starting to
photographs or
thinking Italy, but I think I have to wait till it's green again. Um,
probably, yes, you
and, and
definitely want to.
And sadly, I have arrhythmias, and so I've had to give
Oh,
up drinking. And so I
oh.
love Super Tuscans. I love Repassos. I'm so, we found places in Florence where you could, or actually in Tuscany, that would
Right.
send wines directly to us. And
Yes.
I now give my wines to my friends who drink for me and tell me how good they are. So wine and art and cooking, yes, very much
I'll
very much
go.
in my wheelhouse.
Yes, definitely. They're all very inspiring things, definitely. So wonderful. All right, so people can find you at, did you say pendentionphotography.com?
Pendentionphotography.com. Yes.
And
If
they can find your
they want to see
photographs?
what I'm talking about, yes.
Yes, and they can also, I know I was on IMDb to find out all about your career in film also. But yes, pendentionphotography.com. Penn, thank you so much for being here, and hopefully you'll be back in the near future. If you go to Italy or really any other country, I'd love to hear more about your travels and what you've captured.
Well, thank you so much, Maria. Thank you for sharing your time with me.
You're welcome.
Thanks for listening to the Maria Liberati Show, and thanks to my producer, Britton Roselle, as always, and to this week's special guests. And as mentioned, don't forget to check out this week's picks for our Best of Products Holiday Gift Guide 2025. I mentioned them at the beginning of the show, but they're also on the blog at the marialiberatishow.com. There's about 4 holiday guides up there already, so check them out, the marialiberatishow.com. And this week's products will be up there shortly also. And as always, you can find me at marialiberati.com, on Twitter at Maria Liberati, on Instagram at Maria Liberati, on our YouTube channel, The Maria Liberati Show, on Facebook at Chef Maria Liberati, and let's see, on Vimeo at Maria Liberati, and let's see, did I forget? Yes, Pinterest at Maria Liberati, and you can find my Gourmand World award-winning book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, on Amazon and Kindle, and there are some audiobooks there. Now, they do have audiobook versions of some of my books there on Amazon and Kindle, but you can also find the books at Barnes & Noble and really anywhere books are sold. And you can also find the books on the publisher's website, artoflivingprimamedia.com. And until next time, peace, love, and pasta.